This week on the Three Rings podcast.
9 times out of 10, they don't really give fresh college students an opportunity for a lead role. Right, okay, Charlie, you're going to move on count 8, you're going to move on count 3. It changed literally the first 4/8, and we were just about, literally the door was about to open. And I literally thrived off of that. We're never ready. No performer is ever ready to go, right, I'm going to be a mum now.
Welcome to the 16th episode of the Three Rings podcast. My name's Stuart Bishop and I'm here with my fellow director, Bailey J. Muir.
Before we get started, subscribe to the channel, click the like button and turn on your notification bell so you know all about next week's episode.
This week we have a very special guest in Charlie Bruce. Charlie is an internationally renowned artist who in 2010 was crowned winner of BBC's So You Think You Can Dance. Since then, Charlie has achieved overwhelming success working with the likes of Dirty Dancing, X Factor, Ted Baker, the Royal Variety Performance, and much, much more. Welcome, Charlie Bruce.
Good afternoon, guys. How are you both?
Oh, my word. Amazing. Bailey, Charlie, Bailey.
Hi.
Hey,
Hi, Bailey.
good to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too. Thank you for having me, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Absolute pleasure. Do you know what? You are our first female.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
They got the female.
I don't know, Bailey. I would say she's probably the prettiest person we've had so far. So you know.
Absolutely, top you, Stuart.
Yeah. No offense to Adrian Gass and Brendan and Ricky Cheer, guys. If you haven't watched these episodes, do come on. But Charlie, oh my word, we've known each other for a very, very long time.
We go back, don't we? You've known me since I was 19.
Oh my God. It's oh man, I feel like we've got so much to talk about. But we want to go right to the beginning and we want to basically inform our viewers exactly who you are and where you've come from, how you were inspired to become first a dancer. And really, I would say calling you just a dancer is a massive injustice to you. You are just like you're the triple threat. You are it's when people meet you, Charlie, it's like you just know straight away. Even if you were locked in a room with your hands tied up, your creative juices would still come out. People would be like, yes, we know if you would give her the opportunity to sing, dance and act, she's gonna kill it. So
thanks, Stu.
there you go. That's a nice
That's lovely.
So tell us, how did you start dancing? I'm presuming it was from an early age because you're just phenomenal. Go for it.
So I actually started when I was 7. I was quite a shy kid. You wouldn't think it now. I was very shy. I started ballet when I was 3, but cried, and it just wasn't for me. So it took a few years out to gain confidence, and then was like, Mom, I really want to do it. My inspiration actually started with Michael Jackson, Prince. It was more hearing the music. My mum would play it. She'd clean around the house. I'd be at home. I'd be in a nappy, dancing around, half naked. I was just a very free kid that just loved to hear rhythms and connected with music. And then obviously realised, wow, MJ is who he is. He's, a talent. I'd watch him on TV. So music, those icons for me, Madonna, all of them, I just love to see them move. They were so creative with the way that they moved. And I would copy what they did. And it kind of came from watching things on TV and, it was tapes back then, wasn't it?
When are we talking here? I know you're nowhere near as old as me, but are we talking about the early 90s or the
early 90s? Yeah, I would have been
90s,
it would have been about 5 or 6.
Right.
And I just was in awe with the way that they moved and the music did something to me. And like you said, that lovely introduction. Thank you, Stuart. I'm not just a dancer. I sing, I act. I'm very passionate about all 3 genres. But for me, it was from an early age. The music got me. It did something to me internally, and I just wanted to entertain people.
You're like I always called you
Go on.
you. Do you remember I used to call you you're the next Bonnie Langford?
I used to have bright red hair, Bailey. Bright
Did
red,
you? Yeah,
massive. And I went through the phase, didn't I, Stuart? Like, I was all in the commercial world. I have like sections of my career, haven't I, where I dipped into different things, and I just wanted to. I wanted everyone to know who I was, whether that be in musical theatre, whether that be trying to get into the pop industry, like be a singer, you know, contemporary, anything. I wanted everyone to just know who Charlie Bruce was. Really, I just loved every um, form of dance, really, and singing. I loved it. Yeah, but bright red hair was a thing, wasn't it, Stu?
It was. Go on, baby.
So in those sort of like formative years of you, where
Mm.
you're just a child that loves music and loves rhythms,
Mm.
was there a specific point that came that then was very clear for you? This is when I decided I wanted to do dance for a career, or has it always just been very organic for you that was kind of always going to happen?
I think organic's the right word. I feel my mum was an ex-gymnast, so she, you know, she was incredible what she did. And my nan used to tap. She had her own dance school, and she was a fantastic tap dancer. And there was three of them, her and her sister and another friend, and they were a trio tap group that went around the UK and performed. Yeah, it's incredible. So there was in our family there was some form of theatre and dance and whatever and gymnastics. So I think my mum let it happen naturally. She was never that mum to push me into anything. It was just, it came from me. And I feel like that's important for it to come from within as a performer, because otherwise you then take it for granted, or you don't fully invest into that. You know, you have to, whatever the path that you choose. And me and my partner were talking about this the other day with our daughter Marley. I feel like she's got to find her way of what's going to make her happy.
It's someone else's dream, isn't it, when someone's trying to push it onto you? Yeah,
absolutely, yeah, for sure. But it was definitely, it was an organic thing. It was a conversation that I'd had with mum. Please, can you take me to dancing? I want to sing, I want to act, I want to do it all. And I just had that buzz, that inner buzz of like, I just love it. Get me to studio now.
And did you then did you go to performing arts college straight away at is it 16 is it the earliest you can go?
No, I got a scholarship to Arts Ed when I was 10. And
right. That's Charlie Bruce for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a scholarship when I was 10, and it's a funny story actually to this. I wasn't actually meant to get a place at Arts Ed. All the places had been taken up. They'd been given to various children. I think there was like 5 a year that get like a bursary, and the lady, the head of dance, Rachel Rist, rang my mum and was like, I'm really sorry, she can still audition, but we don't actually have any places available. So I was, not aware. I was only 9, going there, my little ballet leotard on and all ready to go. I had my song. I think I sang I Dreamed a Dream was my...
Your mum didn't tell you then?
No, she kept it.
Oh,
no, mum kept it quiet. I went there. I had my monologue prepared. I had a song, I Dreamed a Dream. I did a little jazz routine, put my little aerial in there, my box jumps and all of my bits and bobs. And I went there, and a week later, I got a written letter saying, we're going to accept you. We're going to give you a place. We think you're phenomenal. We want you part of the school. And I got that when I was 10. So I moved to boarding school.
So that's where it's performing arts sort of the priority, but you have to do all the academic stuff as well, don't you?
Yeah. So when I started when I was 10, I'd do academic in the morning. So it'd be like 9 until 1:30, and then you'd go for lunch, and then it would be I think something like 2:15 until 6:30 would be your dance and your acting and all of that in the afternoon. So
and then so from Arts Ed you then went to Lanes, didn't you?
Then I from the age of 16 to 18, I went there and furthered my training.
And tell us about lanes, because I feel like you are the architect. When I used to think of lanes, I don't know what it's like now. I don't know what they're like coming out. They might be completely different. But lanes was always, it was going to, it was the best dancers. It was the best jazz dancers. They had long legs and jump
Correct.
high and all this.
Yeah.
That comes with creating discipline, I can imagine. Well, tell us about your training days at Lane.
Training days at Lane were very strict, very intense. To the point they would weigh you at the beginning of term. It was a very stringent, because they don't do that anymore, do they? It's not really a thing. You don't weigh children anymore. It's just, that's a whole other conversation anyway.
Don't start us on things like that.
No.
I don't think weighing, we don't, you shouldn't be weighing. I think we should just monitoring people's
well, it's about nutrition, isn't it?
Yes.
That's the whole conversation.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. But it was very, if you had any days off sick, they would bring you into the office. That they were very high on attendance. You can't miss a singing class. You've got to be at ballet every day. It was. I think they ran the ship very well. It was a very, professionral. It was kind of an insight to what it would be like when you graduate. When you're in the kind of the professional world, and they kept it very much like that. And I lapped it up. I ate it up. I was like, this is brilliant. I loved I've got friends that hated the experience, wasn't for them.
Do you know what I was just about to say? Oh, we'll clip that little bit up, Bailey, and we'll send that to Lane, and hopefully they'll give us some good promo. I mean, what a great, like you were about to say, which we don't need to go into too much. There are a lot of people who didn't have good times at college and didn't enjoy themselves.
Hated it.
Yeah.
But I loved it, but I've got so many stories. I was first year, and I got one of the lead roles in Barbara Evans's piece, and Barbara Evans was like the jazz queen there, and she would always do Cirque du Soleil pieces in the show, and it would always be the third years that got the leading role because it was they're graduating or whatever. Anyway, this first year comes in and nabs the role. They're like, who the hell is this? Yeah, my first year at Lanes was, the girls didn't like me, let's put it that way. But I just kept myself to myself. My training was important. I knew my 3 years was going to go like that. So I got my head down and I absorbed everything that I possibly could. But I loved it.
We're going to go on to So You Think It Does It, but just one last, I'm just going to pick up on that. I always thought it was like you were coming out of a genre just sort of past let me just give you some back context to this. So when I came out, people would come out and we had to be technical because that was what was being used. I think by the time you came out and graduated, the technique was sort of coming towards maybe its pinnacle, and then hip hop started to take over and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I always felt it was like, from my era, people came out of college very technical. After that, they came out less and less. But when you came out, I always remember thinking, well, you are like how the old era, and probably even better. Like you were, your technique and the way you performed, it was beyond just doing the steps and just being a dancer. So yeah, Lane did a good job.
They did a very good job. They did a very good job. I didn't do much commercial. So commercial for me was my weakest link. And so obviously we're going on to So You Think You Can Dance questions in a minute. And week one, pulled out the hat. What did I get? With Tommy, who's the best blooming commercial dancer I've ever really... Oh, he's incredible. I can't even talk. He's amazing. So obviously pulling that out the hat, doing commercial the first week, I was like, great. So I didn't get, I got had fantastic contemporary ballet, jazz, and all of that. But I never got to. I think I did 2 commercial classes the whole time I was at Lane, and I got none at Tring. Like it just wasn't a thing. Like commercial was not a thing when I was training. So that was a shame. So I've had to kind of teach myself really. I'm self-taught when it comes to commercial. I've just absorbed and gone to classes and tried to kind of get as much as I can under my belt really.
So then to lean into So You Think You Can Dance, I'd love to hear how that like came around for you, because obviously that being so fresh for you coming out of college, it's not in anyone's plans. What was that like decision-making process for you of deciding to go into the competition? How did it present?
Okay. This is the story, really. Okay, so I graduated Lanes in 2009, and everyone at college was like, you're going to walk into a job, you've got this, you know, all of that. But I always remained very humble and thought, do you know what? You know, I am small, I am unique. Possibly getting the certain roles that I want to get, they might not give me that opportunity, because 9 times out of 10, they don't really give fresh college students an opportunity for a lead role. But I went for them. I went up for Baby, for Dirty Dancing. I went up for Cha Cha in Greece, got down to the last 2 in Cha Cha, and got the call. So sorry, we're not going to give it to you this time. Blah blah blah. And I was just getting knockbacks after knockbacks, and I was going solidly to auditions for like 9-10 months after graduating, and I finally booked a panto gig in London, and I was at home and I opened up, I think it was at the Dancing Times. God, they don't do that anymore, do they? I opened up the Dancing Times and I saw 100 grand, like written in bold letters, and I was like, bing! I was like, okay, let's read further. So reading. So You Think You Can Dance. Obviously, I'd watched it as a kid. It was like, God, So You Think You Can Dance. It's incredible. It's coming to the UK. Got my name written all over it. Let's go. So I rang my agent. I said, look, you're not going to like this very much, but I'm going to turn down panto. But you what? I went, I'm turning it down. So Charlie, she said, you've been, really like upset that you've not got any work. I said, but this opportunity's come and I've got to do it. I just feel in my gut that I've got to do it. I wasn't going there to like, I'm winning it. My thought process was, I've got to get people to see me. I've got to get people to understand who I am and what I do and the potential that I have. And I'm 18 then when I auditioned, but I'm young. I've got so much to offer. I'm doing this. Well, they didn't like that very much, but I did it because that's just me. So I turned down this job and I went for the audition. And then obviously, I think 500 people applied for it. It was like mental, this open audition. And I just kept getting called back. And then obviously it got down to like the final, I think it was 14 and the final 14. And yeah, I got into the live show and then that was it. It was just, let's go. Like journey by journey, I was kind of getting closer to, everything that we do in our industry is a goal, isn't it? Whether that's, I'm going to smash it in a dance class today, or, I'm going to try that triple pirouette, or I'm going to nail learning this song. And everything, what we do is a goal. Otherwise we wouldn't do what we do. We thrive off of that, don't we? So for me, getting into this show was like, it's probably the biggest thing for me that I've ever really achieved. It's like, oh, wow, this opportunity. And I was like, yeah, I'll take that. I'm grabbing that with both hands.
Wow. Right. So what I want to know is, at what point, this is the question, and I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into who I was supporting and what I was going for at that point. At what point did you know in the competition that you had a chance of winning it? I'm going to think that within possibly maybe 1 or 2 episodes, maybe. But, and also, did you know any of the dancers who were there? Because obviously you had Tommy, you had Lizzie. Now I was firmly in Lizzie camp.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah,
with her being an ex-Rudai girl. And in my head, I was like, right, I can't see anyone beating Lizzie because but this was before I'd seen everybody else. I was thinking, I knew she had good technique. I knew she could do contemporary. I also knew she could spin on her head.
Oh, she's versatile.
She could lock pop.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, she's got to be the early favourite. Where was your head at? When did you think, right, I think I could do this?
Oh, the first bit of glimmer for me was when I did the cancer routine. Yeah. And I think that was week 3. But it was never, oh, I've got this. It was never that. But I feel like that was a turning point for people, especially Arlene Phillips, because I don't think, as much as I love her, I don't think she initially wanted me in the show. She wanted somebody else. But I think the other 3 were like, no, Team Charlie, I think she's got a lot to offer. But I was so young. I was very, very young compared to everybody else. Mm-hmm. So I think she was like, this is a bit of a gamble. But yes, so week 3, but it was actually fully on the final. I was like, oh, I think I could do this. But I was never 100% sure because obviously I was up against Lizzie and Tommy, and they're like, insane, very talented. So it was one of them. It's all down to the public at that point.
So obviously, as you're saying, like when you were going into the competition, you were hoping it was to kind of just get your name out there and get people to see you. Mm-hmm. Throughout the competition, did you start to get a feeling that was happening? For example, like was the phone ringing whilst you were in the competition?
Well, back then, social media wasn't a thing. I think I just joined Facebook 3 years prior. Like it wasn't, was it, Stuart? No. There was no Instagram. I don't think Twitter was really about. I think it was just Facebook. So my agent, I didn't really hear much from. So I didn't get very many phone calls. I'm not going to lie. No, it wasn't like that. It was after I'd won. That's when it was, do you think she could come to this audition? Do you think, it was more that opportunity. I was so close to getting the lead in Flashdance. I've always been so close, but it never fully happened, which is another conversation. But yeah, I didn't really have phone calls, to be honest. It wasn't really like that. It was just, you're there, you knuckle down, you do the show, and that was it really. It wasn't like anyone was reaching out, not like you could get a DM or whatever. I think if it was Instagram back then, possibly, yeah, I think possibly that might have happened. Actually, Stuart was the first person that, when I won, actually pulled me at the bar and said, "Oh, hi, Charlie, I'm Stuart from Rudai."
I was with my partner, Charlotte, just for context.
That way. All be aside and said, "Oh,
not that would have stopped me."
But Stuart was kind of the first person that was like, "Oh, would you be interested in joining the agency?" And I remember you handing me a card. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, I was right in there, Bailey.
You were.
As always.
I was having to do. Well, actually, no. Charlotte was a great thinker as well. But I remember Charlotte saying, "Look, because we'd gone to watch Lizzie, obviously, to support her, and I think it was maybe it was the quarter final or the third. It was towards the end. I definitely wasn't the final, because I don't think we would have been able to get near you if it had been the final. So it must have been the semi or something like that." And Charlotte said, "Well, what's the point of being here if we're not going to go and introduce ourselves? Why don't we go to the people that we liked?" And I was like, wow. I like Tommy. Obviously, I like Lizzie, and I liked. Was it Robbie? There was a blonde boy.
Yeah, Robbie White. Yeah, I went to Lanes with Robbie.
Yep, and I liked Jeanette. And I became good friends with Jeanette. And we liked you. And I remember, going up to you, and you were very polite. And giving you a card, and then thinking, well, it'll be I don't know whether we'll get the opportunity, because if
Mm,
whoever wins this, it was a new thing,
it
So
was, yeah.
it was, and this is, funnily enough, our next question is, did winning So You Think Can Dance, and I'll give some context around this, give you a warped perception of the dance industry? Because I don't know how long a gap it was from you winning, and then I know you did things on TV with So You Think Can Dance to do with the
I
show.
did. Yeah,
But very quickly after, at some point, you then came to Mexico.
I
Um,
did. Yeah.
we flew on first class together. Do you remember?
Oh, we
And
did.
then there
That
was
was.
cameras
I
filming us
know.
coming through the airport, and
It
oh
was
god,
mad. It's mental. I soon after So You Think, I then got offered Dirty Dancing.
right,
That they snapped me up straight away. So with it winning it in the February, by June, they had they'd already kind of booked me, but then we went away. I think was I doing Dirty Dancing then? I can't remember.
I think it might have been was it before
Before
in the Gap?
it might have been in the Gap.
Might have been in the Gap.
Yeah, it might have been in the Gap.
And so the reason I'm asking this question is because it's interesting, isn't it, Bailey? Because we get the impression that you went straight from college. This is what the TV sort of
No,
gave. That
no.
there was this. I mean, I don't remember. Or maybe I'd been told that you. I just can't, it seemed to me that you had gone straight from So You Can Dance straight into TV stuff with doing the TV awards and things like that, and then suddenly you were for those who don't know, Charlie represented the UK in Bailando por Ensueño in Mexico City, which was a world version of the show. So you went from being used to being filmed, so it seemed, and then obviously when we got to Mexico, you were filmed sort of most of the time as well.
Yeah, yeah.
It, a normal jobbing dancer, however, but funny enough, you're now telling us that you were that jobbing dancer before for
I
about 9
was
months.
9 months, correct? Yes,
Uh,
yeah.
So
Oh, it's been a
how were you thinking, basically? Because it just seemed like you went from here to there, and suddenly you represented the UK. That's not a normal start to a professional dance career.
no, it's not. It wasn't a normal start. I hustled a lot. It wasn't like I just hopped. I think this is the thing: when you win a show, you have to keep your name popular. You have to keep on people's minds. Fresh in their minds. So, thank you for that opportunity to go to Mexico. That was incredible. And I loved that buzz of TV. I loved that. People love that live experience, don't they? Of a clap, after they've done a bow, it's that clap and everything. But I loved the TV element of everything. But for me, yeah, it was. I did a good pocket full of. I went to LA and did. I danced with Neil from season 3. And we did a duet there, and that was incredible. And they were like, come on, move to LA. We'll get you signed up here with Block Agency, and looking back now, it's one of my biggest regrets. I backed and forth with the whole idea of going to LA, and it was all of the American choreographers were like, get over here now. Like, get over here now. You need to. But the opportunities were flooding in from the UK, like year contracts here and another contract here, and X Factor and Britain's Got Talent, like all these things. And stupidly, I wished I'd have been a bit braver and gone, no, do you know what? I'm gonna, but I just thought, I'm a UK girl. I've made my stance here. I feel like if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like, just stay here, and I'm sure there'll be an opportunity to go out there another time. But I just kept getting work in the UK, and that was it. I just stayed, but I never made that. I didn't make the move to LA.
And when you were in that sort of like crazy wave of everything just flowing, were you like aware of how lucky you were, or was there like a moment that it became normal to just be that in demand?
It was never normal. It wasn't like I woke up and I thought, I deserve this. I was never that person. I think if if you truly, truly know me as a person, I'm a very humble person. I don't really go around saying I'm the winner of this and I've done this. I'm just not that. People would have to research to know who I am. Like, I wouldn't just, do you know what I mean? I feel like I always remained very humble. So any opportunity I got, it was like, I'm going to really embrace this, because you just never know when another Charlie Bruce can come knocking at your door. So I kind of just embraced every kind of moment that I was given, really.
I can endorse that, Charlie, actually, because when I looked at your CV when we were doing a bit of research for the episode, I was surprised how many times we worked together after Bailando por el Sueño. Yeah,
a lot.
A lot of good memories. And you were never ever, even though you were Charlie Bruce, like, and that's what I think people. I think people, if they were behind your back, they would be like, "That's Charlie Bruce." If you got me, you're one of those people that people know and know of being, really good. But yeah, every job you were never, you always were just one, came in and you did whatever was asked of you, very professional. And a lot of times clients had no idea, of your talent and what you'd done or whatever. But I'd always be straight in there. Yeah, she wants to take the dance.
But it just wasn't. It wasn't a thing where you'd walk around with it, holding a title. It wasn't. I think nowadays there's more of a platform for dancers that go onto TV now. Back in the day that I did the TV show, it was the very first dance TV show, wasn't it? It just wasn't. It wasn't a thing
for a long while. I mean, I think they've had things like that, not necessarily like that, but they've had variety and they've had but so yeah, I mean, it was a period of time where suddenly, the BBC and UK program makers were looking at dance and thinking, yes, this is good, we can put this prime time, because there was was it Dance X? Was it Dance X?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and Arlene was on that, wasn't she?
Yeah. I always thought you was on that as well.
No. I was too young. I wanted to audition for it though. I saw it. I was too. I was only 15 when that came out. I was too young. But and I wanted to audition for the Dirty Dancing. When they all go out to America and they did the Time of My Life.
Yes.
Yeah, and I just was too young, but I was like, right, that's it. Get my Latin heels on up there. But I didn't quite. Yeah, I wasn't old enough. But yeah, I wanted to go for that.
There was I think there was people from the UK, because there was dancers from around the world, but there wasn't there was a Scottish girl on it who then went to dance
Marie.
Yeah,
Maria,
she then went and worked for Lady Gaga, didn't she?
Yeah. Yes, I've forgotten her name. I did X Factor with her. She's she's insane. But yeah, so those pocket of opportunities were kind of, sizzling around, but it just wasn't. I think it was right time, right place opportunities. Lovely Arlene wanted to get me into flash dance, but it just didn't quite, happen. Whether my voice wasn't strong enough, or I don't know, but I got down to the last handful for that. So, but yeah, it was just kind of right time, right place. And then my journey kind of went towards more TV, commercial stuff with you and X Factor and all of that, and Strictly and movies and things like that. So my journey did a bit of this, really.
With that, as your journey was progressing, it feels like when I go through your CV, there's specific periods where you were doing theatre for this period, then commercial for this period. Was that a conscious decision, or was that just kind of what presented? I'd love to hear why it's sort of structured like that.
Well, actually, yeah, it's funny you say that, Bailey, because I was always that person that wanted to one day put my feet up on the sofa and look at my CV and go, okay, I've done everything on there that I know I'm capable of doing and doing to the best of my ability. So I knew that I could dip into TV, I could dip into theatre. After doing Dirty Dancing, I was like, right, I'm ready for a refresh. Doing the same choreo for a year, me me mentally, I needed to be stimulated. I was very creative. I wanted to learn different routines in sometimes a short space of time, which I got from X Factor. You got, working with Cisco Gomez, and Brian Freeman. One week we'd learn a routine, and then, we're changing that routine. You're going to learn a quick 8 now. And I remember one week, I think it was, what song was it? It was like a jazzy, romance. Anyway, so we were all on the floor, and he was like, right, okay, Charlie, you're going to move on count 8. You're going to move on count 3. It changed literally the first like 4 8s, and we were just about, literally the doors were about to open. And I literally thrived off of that. So I feel like, I think you're right, Bailey. I think I mentally structured the way I wanted my career to go. And, sometimes I was presented with opportunities. For example, my agent put me up for Les Mis. Now I can sing, but do I want to sing for a whole year? Possibly not. Maybe when I can't dance anymore, I'll go into that. So mentally I structure things. I try and be a bit clever in my decisions and think, do you know what? Okay, dancing's a short window. What can I do and what can I achieve in this short space of time? And then I can go tick. Next bit, can I do this? Tick. And, I kind of slowly organically form my career the way I want it, really. I think you have to, as dancers, you have to be very clever in how what jobs you take, because you can't dance forever, can you? I can't wang a leg forever.
This is valuable information. I know people are going to enjoy this podcast. And I want to know, did you then structure in having a baby and meeting a gymnast? Tell us the goss. First of all, how did you?
How long you got?
Right. So for those who don't know, Charlie, just explain who your partner is.
So my partner is an Olympic gymnast for Great Britain. His name is Lewis Smith, MBE. And MBE. And we, funnily enough, I knew of him, but I was actually with somebody at the time when I started rehearsals. I got asked by Gareth Walker to do a show called Rip It Up the 50s. And it's a show all about the 50s decade, basically. And Natalie Lowe was the star of it from Strictly. You had Jay McGuinness from The Wanted, and you had Lewis Smith. So it was the 3 stars, and I was one of the lead dancers that got to dance with the celebrities. And he obviously liked me.
me and Bailey on tenterhooks here. We're like, well, how
well, I was an engaged woman at the time, so.
Oh right! Oh my God!
We were friends, and thank the Lord, my relationship didn't continue, which was, thank you, God.
Unfortunate.
Oh, dreadful. So it didn't happen, and then we were very good friends before lovers, basically. So we met in 2017.
So you're being very clear here. There was no extramarital affairs beforehand.
No, there was no mishmash. There was none of that. It was very chilled progression.
Because we've got coming on the podcast next week. We've got your ex.
Welcome. Oh God. So we met on that show, and it was just a connection like no other, in the sense that I'm like, oh, you're just passionate like I am at what we do. Everything that he focuses on, he gives 110%. I'm the girl version of that. So we instantly just bonded, and it didn't look back, and we've been together 7 years this year.
Are you married?
No, I'm waiting for the ring. She's bare still, look. Yeah, she's bare.
Okay.
She's still waiting, but it's I'm sure it will be pending at some point.
Wow. Go on, babe.
I was going to say, I'd love to hear, obviously, it may be a bit of a thing of getting you to talk for him, but obviously I remember seeing the sort of trailers come out for Rip It Up and seeing how incredible he was at that dance.
Yeah, he's insane.
Was that like straight away in the rehearsal process, or was that something that like yourself and the other dancers had to coach along to get him there?
Well, he obviously he won Strictly, didn't he, back in 2012? So he had that dance element anyway, and you know, he'd had that kind of practice of Latin and ballroom and all of that, and he always had the ability to do commercial. His hip hop's really good. So he had that kind of groove and that move, and maybe that's a Jamaican thing, but he's got that kind of vibe, and so he embraced the process. It was hard. I mean, if anyone knows Gareth Walker, his choreography is challenging. So he definitely pushed us all to our limits for sure, to get the best out of everyone and to make the show you know, here we go, this is Rip It Up brand, let's, you know, we're going to rip the stage up, you know, that was the kind of the vibe. So he yeah, there were certain times he struggled and felt like, oh god, this is difficult, but I think, you know, it was a 2-week process of rehearsals. It was learning how many numbers. It was, you know, it was intense, but you know, we loved it that much. We did 4 of those shows together.
And so you obviously loved it loads.
I did.
So when did how long were you together? I was gonna be completely inappropriate there. I won't ask that. I was gonna be cheeky and say, so when did you consummate the marriage? No, when did you're like first rehearsal? No, how long were you together? How long were you together when you then obviously found out you were pregnant?
We had been together for 3 years.
Right.
And we hadn't had the discussion. Obviously we said, you know, we would like to have children together and we want to get married. We want to be together. You know, I think it was pretty early on for both of us. We were like, right, this is forever. Like we've got a connection. And we've got a special thing going on. We're not gonna be swayed by any other people. Like we're fully Lewis and Charlie. Like we've got a great thing going on. And it was an oops, I'm pregnant. It really was. It was in lockdown. What did you do in lockdown?
Well, we know what Charlie did.
So, you know, it was a massive surprise, but I don't think we're never ready. No performer is ever ready to go, right, I'm going to be a mum now, unless you're, you know, in your late 30s and you go, right, okay, we need to really think about this. You know, my career, what an amazing career I've had, and I'm still going. There's so much to tell you today, boys. Although I'm a mum, I'm still heavily in the industry, and I've got some exciting projects that I'm undergoing this year, which is fantastic. But we sat down, we had the conversation, and Lewis said to me, look, it's more a decision for you, because it's going to stop your career just for a little bit. You know, are you good with it? And I was just like, yeah, I'm going to spring back. If I want to go and audition and do things or whatever, I can. And, you know, I had Marley and I danced for Ed Sheeran at the Brit Awards. And, you know, I've done loads of little bits.
While carrying her, were you breastfeeding her at the time? Like,
no.
Galway girl.
No, so yeah, that's probably less than a year. I think I did that less than a year. Then I danced for Anastasia, the singer. I did 2 of her gigs. Yeah, I
was that with Gareth or with Christina?
That was Gareth Walker.
Gareth.
He bless him. He rings me a lot. He texts me a lot and says, "Oh, do you want to do this gig? Would you want to do this?" He's very team Charlie. He knows the situation. He knows I'm a mum now. You know, if he can have that, you know, the job opportunity and it'll work for me as the family, I'll do it. So yeah, I'm very lucky that I've kept some great close relationships with people that, I'm always putting things on my social media. Like I am still active, I'm still dancing, I'm still doing, lots of bits, but it has to be the right opportunity for me to get back. And I wouldn't want to come back and be an ensemble. I want to be a lead. I want to be, which is another conversation to have another day.
I'd love to ask with this, like becoming a parent and then like coming back to the industry, particularly because of the pandemic, it was very much coming back to the industry. Was there like specific things from becoming a parent that you feel like you learned from that has helped you in your career moving forward as well? Obviously, a lot of people talk of like it changes their intention, what they're doing it for, and possibly even just that maturity that obviously naturally comes.
Absolutely.
What were the changes for you in coming back to dance again?
Well, for me, Bailey, having my little girl Marley, I think it does two things to a mum. I think it either goes, I don't want to do the industry anymore, I'm very content with just being a mum, or it does, you're my purpose to keep creating opportunities for not only me but us as a family. So I had a bit of downtime, but I always wanted. I'll always be a performer. You can't take that away, can you, Stuart? It's inbuilt in you. It's something that, it's such a special gift that you're given that I've definitely not. I wouldn't be ready to just sit there and just be a stay-at-home mum. I'm too active. I'm too creative. I've got so much passion for what I do. So for me, I wanted to kind of get back and, not too quick. I had some fantastic time with my little girl growing up. I got to see everything, see her crawl, see her walk the first time and all this, but I did the odd job and I eased back into the industry. But she's definitely my motivation to go on to the next project and keep developing myself as a performer.
Was Marley named after Bob Marley?
It's two things actually. Marley was named after Bob Marley because she is quarter Jamaican. Lewis is half Jamaican. My nan is Marlene, and we call her Marley for short. Right. So the two connected really well for us. And she was born on Valentine's Day, so it's Marley Valentina Smith. So,
oh, cute.
Marley V. Yeah, she's a cutie. She's wow. Yeah.
So, as you said, you've basically you took a break. And the thing is, this is the thing, when people get to that point, you start to see that, actually, it's not. We're always told at the start, you got to get as much work in because at a certain point you'll be too old. But as you get to that point, you realise, well, actually, you don't want to do those things anyway now because that's for the younger people.
Of course.
What is your, knowing obviously, you can sing great, you can dance great, you can act great. What is your future? What have you got coming up? But what's your bigger dreams?
So my big dreams moving forward, I'm 34 this year, and I have been given an amazing opportunity to choreograph.
Bailey, that was when we should have both butted in there and said, you don't look 34, you only look 23 or something. Yeah, sorry, we're just mesmerised by your beauty, so we just forgot to butt in there.
Thank you. So for me, so I've been offered an opportunity to choreograph a Latin and ballroom show this summer with a Strictly Celebrity, which is incredible. What an opportunity. So I actually get to create some exciting stuff, really. It's all cabaret based music.
And you're the did you say you're choreographing or what? I'm
choreographing the entire thing.
Right. So is this a move into choreography? Or
this is a move into choreography for sure. I've always loved creating, but it's just never nothing's come to fruition because I've not made that happen. Because, like Bailey was saying, you've had your plan of how your career is, setting out, and for me, that's later down the line, and it's a perfect time in my career. So. It's a short show, about 10 days, and then it will go on tour next year. and potentially might have another show to choreograph next year. So there's things kind of bubbling away for sure. And if burlesque comes back, I would love to possibly audition for that show, because I would love to play a lead in burlesque. The movie, the Western, the show that's coming in. If that ever came to London, that might be something possibly.
Where's that going then? I thought
Manchester, and I want to say it's up north. They're doing an up north run of it, just a short run. I think testing it, seeing how it goes, and then it might come to
one
London.
One of our future guests that we've got booked is going to be starring in burlesque. We won't say much more now, but
doesn't she have beautiful hair?
We can't say anything. We can't. No, it's, I don't know. We'll probably talk about something different now.
Oh, okay.
We're only a small. We're at the moment. I'm just this podcast. We want the best, but we're reaching out to the best that we know first. You know, of
course.
So, hence why we reached out to you, Charlie. You know, so where we're at. You were saying I've lost my cue.
So choreographing. So what's next? My career. So yeah, choreographing for sure. Definitely is the next direction. I've also got my own dance academy around the area that I live, called CB Academy, and I train kids up for up and coming auditions for their colleges and any up and coming TV shows or anything that they've got coming up. And I just train one-to-ones. I've got a commercial class that I do every week, ballet class. So yeah, I've got my own little kind of
ecosystem.
Yeah, I've got a little dance academy that I'm running as well. So yeah, there's a few little things bubbling away for sure.
So to pick up on teaching, then, I always love when someone who's had such a great career is then teaching. What are the real key lessons that you're trying to give that are maybe different than what you were given, what you've kind of picked up through your career, which maybe you had from that start? What is the difference you would identify with yourself as a teacher to potentially other teachers?
Oh, that's a really good question. For me, my early training, as much as I love them and I still speak to them now, the training, it wasn't to the highest of standards. So for me, I really, going to these colleges that I've been to, they've given me such an amazing foundation to now pass on to the next generation. And that is, I say to my kids all the time that you can wang a leg all you want, but it's how you place it. And when people are watching you in an audition environment, they want to see that you can control your body and that you can look after your body, because they're hand in hand. I've been dancing 20 odd years and I've had one small little injury on my knee, but it's nothing. It was like a little pull. I've never had time off. Because I've trained properly. So for me, that's such, when you come to have a private lesson with me, I break you down from the top. I literally look from toe to head, how you stand. Is your back not, is it arched? Is your pelvis in the right place? We work on everything from every technique possible. So, for me, training was super, super, super important. And to give that to the kids of this generation now, because I feel like the technique, like Stuart hit on earlier, it has dipped somewhat. It has. Everyone's got great faces and they're very out there, but when you do this and you look down, actually the technique isn't as great as it used to be. Would you agree, Stu?
Yes, we've had big conversations whether it's actually it's because possibly it's not actually called for or needed at the moment. If the choreographers aren't doing it, and people aren't excited by it, and I'm not saying technique won't come up. It has to go to a certain level before people go, sure. We want technique again. But it's definitely not to the standard of,
how it used to be.
How you would like it, Charlie, definitely.
So this is a sort of signature question that we ask to all of our guests, and I always love the sort of variation and responses we get. Mm-hmm. If we were to take Variety magazine and look 50 years ahead into your prospective career, what comes next? if they were to write a column on your legacy, maybe on like the day you announce your retirement from the industry, what would you ideally like to see them write about you, about what you've achieved, and how you not only will be remembered as a performer, but also as a person? What would you look at and think that really summarizes how I would like to be seen and viewed?
Oh, that's such a good question. I love that. So I want people to remember me as a nice human being and someone that was talented, but didn't think that she was owned. I kind of want people to look back and think that she deserved all the opportunity she was given because she was a nice person, not because she won this show and she acted like a twat on this job, or she was, distasteful on this. I don't believe I've got that reputation. I think anyone who thinks of Charlie Bruce, they go, gosh, she's a great performer. God, I could watch her. I would love that column to be, she never ceases to amaze me of what she can do next. I want that, I want my daughter to look up to me. I want my partner to be proud of me. Anything that I go to touch, I hope that I can make it special. And I hope that people can look back, look on YouTube one day and go, wow, she achieved that. And, I hope I'll be a judge of a panel one day of a dance show. I hope to create my own dance show. I would like to have a legacy where I give dancers more opportunities, and long live dancing. It's such a special thing to do, and I hope to keep inspiring people in all forms of this industry.
And you will, Charlie Bruce, you will.
I hope so.
One last cheeky question. What did you spend $100,000 on?
That's a good question.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Well, Vegas did come into my mind at that point. I was like, should we go to Vegas, girls? I spent it on a flat. Yeah, I bought a property. I invested it into property. And I'm really glad I did that. And my dad was a great influence, to be honest. He was like, because I could have been that girl, got a car, gone on holiday. You know me, Stu.
I think any other dancer probably would have pissed it up against the wall.
Probably, yeah. But I just think to myself, when are you ever going to get that opportunity again? I was quite level-headed for 19, to be fair. I was, you got to have a game plan in this life, haven't you? You got to have a structure to, like you say, you're not going to get these opportunities every day knocking at your door. So I was like, right, what do I need to do with this money to make it work for me? And yeah, so I did just that, bought a property.
Well, Charlie, it's been amazing, hasn't it, Bailey?
Absolutely, it's been amazing. Such a great conversation just to hear how you have that, almost like I'd describe it as like a quiet confidence. There's so many people who will take humble to a point of actually not being able to have confidence in themselves. And it's clear you have that, but at such a refined level that it just comes across in a beautiful way rather than being like, I'm the star, which would be so easy for you to have done, obviously being like crowned was it UK's favourite dancer, they called it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be so easy for you to just go out and just sing that, but you haven't. And that obviously is what's made the career you have. When we went through your CV before this, like you've ticked off everything any dancer could have possibly wanted to do. So it's just such a great example for people to see your energy and really see what it is that makes a dancer achieve these things, not just having that incredible technique and ability that you did. It really is down to the person. So yeah, big thank you for joining us today. I've loved it.
Bailey, thank you for having me. Honestly.
Where can people find you? Where can they follow you?
Instagram, Charlie Bruce 1990. Yeah, I'm all on there. It's all what I do, my life, my career, and
we'll put it all in the links and that, and make sure we're going to share this, and hopefully loads of people. It'll be our most viewed podcast yet, I'm sure. Before we end, I just wanted to say, if you haven't seen our latest guest episodes, then click on the links below to see the episodes with Rick Chia, Adrian Gass, and Brendan Hansford. Well, we've had our first female, and what a female to start the long list of females I'm sure that we will have. Thank you, Charlie. We love you.
Thank you, guys. Love you lots, guys.
Bailey,
Thank you so much.
Do you want to see us out?
Yeah, so thank you for watching another episode. Before you leave us, subscribe to the channel, click the like button, and turn on your notification bell so you know when we come back again next week. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.